So hello dear students, today in this lecture we will discuss about the topic the coupling constant in the NMR spectrums. So actually to determine or to characterize the organic compound, structure of the organic compound, we have to just identify the types of the proton and number of the protons in the proton by the proton NMR spectroscopy and type of the carbon and type of number of the carbon 13 by using the carbon 13 NMR spectroscopy. And organic compounds are basically constituted by the carbon and hydrogens as major components, major elements, while the other heteroatoms may be present in the less quantity actually. So if we can know or we can identify the types of the protons and number of the protons and the carbons by the NMR spectra, then we can easily predict the structure of the organic compound. Not only this NMR spectroscopy is sufficient, there are also the secondary techniques for the characterization that are UV visible spectroscopy, infrared spectroscopy, okay, rotational spectroscopy, vibrational spectroscopy, okay, vibrational and IR actually these are the same techniques. IR the radiation and vibration will be there by using by getting the infrared radiations. So that's why this is called also the vibrational spectroscopy, right? So the coupling constant is very important, and this denotes the actually the distance between the peaks in a multiplet. And how this multiplet is obtained? This is obtained by the spin-spin coupling of the neighboring protons. So actually, what interact of the neighboring protons? So actually, their spin states. Spin states means actually, protons or the nucleus, they are in the spinning motion, and by the motion, they generate the magnetic field and generate two types of the magnetic field. One is in the parallel to that of the applied magnetic field, and second is that is out opposite to the applied magnetic field. So the magnetic field generated by the neighboring protons interact with the nucleus which is under investigation or for which a peak is generated. So due to this interaction, the peak is split signal is splitted into the various peaks, certain peaks. Due to the downfield or upfield shifting of this peak or the signal actually these peaks are appeared due to the shifting of the signal into the downfield side or the upfield side due to the interaction because of the interaction of this nucleus with the spin states of the neighboring protons. Okay, and these the splitting of the signal into the various peaks, this is depends upon the number of protons interacting with the nucleus and the number of spin states, spin orientations which are interacting with the nucleus. And one rule is given for this, that is n plus 1 rule, where the n is the number of protons at the neighboring position, and n plus 1 is equals to actually the spin orientations, or we can say that the number of peaks appeared or a signal is split into it. So the learning objective of this lecture is to learn the coupling constant and to know the number of neighboring protons present in compounds. And the learning outcome of this class is types of the coupling constant we can. This would be happen. The student can be learned. This would be able to you know understand the coupling constant, and by getting the knowledge about the coupling constant, they can determine the structure of organic compounds on the basis of coupling constant value. And basically, coupling constant is the phenomena of the dihedral angle between two groups. If this dihedral angle between two groups is 180, then coupling constant is maximum. Okay, but it is also variable according to the position of the neighboring protons. Position of the protons which are interacting. Either these protons are present at the same center, or maybe they are present at the adjacent positions, or maybe they are present at the one-fourth position, one-fifth position, one-third positions. On the basis of the position of the interacting protons or the coupling protons, coupling constant are of different types, like geminal coupling constant, vicinal coupling constant, long range coupling constant, etc. So we will discuss these things in the detail in the next slides. So coming to this slide, the coupling constant. Yeah, we can understand this thing on the basis of by taking the example that is a compound, and this compound contains actually CS2 and CS3 groups. And these CS2 and CS3 groups are attached with the neighboring position. Okay, they are present at the neighboring position. So suppose we consider that there is the signal for CS2 protons. For these two protons attached with this carbon, the signal appeared only one for this because these are equivalent protons, chemically equivalent protons. So for these protons, only one peak will appear in the signal. If there is no interaction of these protons with these three protons, if no interaction, then only one peak will appear here, not the four peaks. But if these two protons interact with these three protons means n value is 3. So according to n plus 1 rule, the signal is appeared splitted into the four peaks. N plus is equals to 4 because for three protons, four spin orientations are formed. And if these protons interact with the four spin orientation of these three protons, then its signal is appeared, the splitted into the four peaks. And the peak area ratio or peak intensity ratio of these four peaks is is equals to 1 ratio 3 ratio 3 ratio 1. This depends upon the actually the extent of the interaction of this proton with the spin orientation of these protons. Okay. So a signal, suppose the signal, only one signal is there and that is here in between two peaks. So suppose this interact with the spin orientation which are clockwise, then this signal is shifted into downfield side. This is the downfield side and this is the upfield side. Means when we move from left to right side, then we are moving actually in the upfield side. Okay. So if there is signal without the splitting. Okay. Before the splitting, there is signal, only one peak. When this interact with the neighboring protons, then there is splitting of the signal and means shifting of the signal into the downfield and upfield side. So when these CS2 protons interact with the CS3 protons, interact with the clockwise spinning states of the CS3 protons, then their signal shifted into the downfield side, this side. These are two signals, two peaks. And when this CS2 proton interact with the two spin orientations which are in anti-clockwise direction, then with these two spin orientation which are anti-clockwise direction of CS3 protons, this signal is shifted into the upfield side. So in the upfield side, two peaks are appear. Okay, one is shifted highly in their field and one is poorer field. This is depends upon the the spin orientations. Either these are completely anti-clockwise or completely clockwise, or of the three proton, either one is in clockwise, then this will be appear. One is clockwise, two are in anti-clockwise direction. And if these protons are interacting with these three protons, which are of which two are in clockwise direction and one is in anti-clockwise direction. Okay, so in such spin orientation, when they interact with this such a spin orientation where two protons are in clockwise direction and one is in anti-clockwise direction, then this signal is shifted downfield side, and this peak will appear. Okay, so like this I am here. These are the actually the splitting of the signal. This signal into the three peaks, one, two, and three for these CST protons, because CST proton signal is split into the three peaks. Why this is so? Because these protons will interact with the three spin orientation of these two protons. Because for two protons, three spin orientations are formed. Okay, how you can explain? Because this is the possibility that both the protons spin in the clockwise direction. The first spin orientation is this. In this second spin orientation, and for this peak is appeared. Okay, and there is also the possibility that one proton is spinning in the clockwise direction and one is in the anti-clockwise direction. So if such with such orientation these CST protons interact, then there is no shifting of the peak in clockwise and anti-clockwise direction. Sorry, in downfield and upfield direction, no shifting. But if these protons, three protons interact with the spin orientation of these two protons, in which both the protons are spinning in the anti-clockwise direction, then the signal of these protons is shifted into the upfield side, because anti-clockwise spinning of these CS2 protons generates a magnetic field which opposes the applied magnetic field. So to reach the applied magnetic field on these protons, we have to reinforce the applied magnetic field. Then they will feel sufficient magnetic field. This is the proton field sufficient magnetic field when we increase it, and this shows the signal, or the signal appeared for these protons. Okay, this is the reason why this signal is appeared at the field direction, field side. Okay, so now this is the pattern of splitting of a signal into the various peak. Now the question is, what is coupling constant? So actually, when in a multiplet there are the appearance of various peaks, four peaks suppose here, then what is actually the distance between two peaks, two adjacent peaks? So this distance between two adjacent peak in a multiplet is called the coupling constant. So this is the coupling constant J, right? And measured in hertz. And J is the measure of amount of interaction between the two sets of hydrogens creating the multiplet, right? So two protons interaction means interaction of the two protons, create a two sets of, I mean they creates or they separate the a signal into the two peaks in a multiplet. So as much as the interaction between two protons increases the distance between two peaks, means distance between two peaks is directly proportional to the amount of interaction between the two sets of hydrogen, means two non-equivalent sets of hydrogens. Okay, So now the coupling constant is a measure of how strong a nucleus is affected by the spin states of its neighbors. And the coupling constant is expressed in Hertz, Hz. Okay. And the coupling constant do not depends upon the the operating frequency, right? Sorry, the applied magnetic field. This does not depend on the applied magnetic field. For example, here the applied magnetic field is actually this. This instrument is operating at 100 hertz. If we increase this up to just double value, then there is no change in the coupling constant value between two protons. There is no effect. Maybe there is no effect of these factors on the interactions of the neighbors, I mean the neighboring protons. But the chemical shift value is depends on the field strength. Chemical shift value is depends on the field strength, but not the coupling constant. Okay. How the chemical shift is, the depends. Here you can see that this is the first multiplied and this is the second multiplied. Okay. The distance between first and second multiplied is this. This is the distance. But here when we increase the applied field, then the distance between first multiplied and second multiplied is this. The gap is increased. Why? When we increase the field strength. Okay. Now the notation for coupling constants, the most commonly encountered type of coupling is between hydrogens on adjacent carbon atoms. This is very important. When hydrogens are present at the adjacent carbon atoms, then the coupling constant value will be most. It will be largest, highest value. Why this is highest value? Because vicinal protons, if they are present at the opposite side, means at the transposition, or we can say at the 180 degree 180 degree angle, means angle between these two protons is if 180, then coupling constant will be very high. And these protons are called actually the vicinal protons. The adjacent protons are called actually the vicinal protons. And there is three bond distance 1, 2, and 3 between these two protons. So the three bond distance, due to the three bond distance, this coupling constant J is called the 3J. And this is also called vicinal coupling constant because there is coupling between two vicinal protons. Okay. The another type of coupling that can also be occurred in special cases is geminal coupling constant. But the geminal coupling constant value is very low. Why this is so? Actually, geminal coupling is not strong interaction actually here between two protons because there is steric crowding between two protons. There is steric hindrance. There is repulsion between these bond pair electrons. Due to this repulsion, due to non-planarity between two protons, these may also planar actually, but due to this interaction, this is repulsion between these two protons which are present in the same plane and 0 degree angle between these two protons is there. If this is the condition, then the geminal coupling is very low. No coupling is there actually. J2 is equals to 0 because two hydrogens are equivalent due to rotation around the other two bonds. If these two protons are actually equivalent, then no coupling between these protons is there. No coupling. But if these are different, means these are actually suppose diastereomeric protons, diastereotopic protons, then there will be coupling. but not the very much coupling. Very poor coupling is there due to the bond pair repulsion. Now the next type is long range coupling. So if the coupling between two protons which are distant, which have the distance of 4 or more than 4 bonds. Here is 4 bond distance, one, 2, 3, and 4 between these two protons. So there is 4 bond distance. So if the 4 and more than 4 bond distance is there between two protons, then coupling constant value will be very low. There is no actually the transformation of the magnetic field generated by the spinning motion of these two protons. But if there is some one double bond between these protons, these carbons, then the shifting of the or the transformation of the magnetic field between these two protons will be higher. Means the coupling constant would be higher. Okay, and coupling constant value would be more. For instance, occur mainly when the hydrogens are forced to adopt this W conformation as a bicyclic compound. Okay, coupling is larger than J3, for example, J4, J5, etc. are usually called long range coupling. The coupling larger than the J3 is called the long range coupling. Means for example, J4 is also called the long range coupling. J5 is also called the long range coupling. J6 also called the long range coupling, and so on. So now the coupling constant value for different type of the coupling. If you talk about the vicinal coupling, if there is single bond character between these hydrogens, okay, then the vicinal coupling constant value would be 6 to 8 hertz. Three bond distance is there actually, so this is called J3. But if these two protons which are coupled to each other, they are actually in the trans position, then the coupling constant value would be 11 to 18 hertz. It is greater than this saturated compound. This is the unsaturated compound. Okay. So in the unsaturated compound like alkene, these protons are actually in the suppose in the transposition, then transformation of the field between two protons is very good, because there is no hindrance. There is planarity in the molecule. This is planar. No dihedral angle interaction, no dihedral angle repulsion, no torsional is there because groups are present at the 180 degree at the largest or the farthest distance. But if these two protons are at the cis position, then the coupling constant value would be 6 to 15, means somewhat smaller than this bronze. Because here dihedral angle is 0. And in this case, there is torsional strain. There may be repulsion between bond pair. So not too much or too high transformation of the fields between two protons in this case as compared to the trans. Now if you talk about the geminal coupling, its value is 0 to 5, and this value is for doubly bonded carbon. Two bond distance is there, so this is called J2. And if you talk about the chair conformation of the compound, then these hexyl hydrogens, this hexyl hydrogen is actually in the above side of the plane of this ring, while this is below side. Means the angle between these protons is 180. Okay, so coupling between these protons would be very high. So the hexyl its value is 8 to 14. But for hexyl and equatorial protons, if you talk about this hexyl and this is equatorial protons, then its value is 0 to 7, very low, because there is Dihedral angle is not 180. This is very low, like 60 degrees and 60 degree around it is. So the value is 0 to 7. No transformation of the field between these two protons. And if we talk about two equatorial protons, then there is also the strain in the there is also repulsion between these protons. So there is also no transformation. Very poor transformation is there, and the value of coupling constant would be very low, 0 to 5. And these three types of the couplings actually have the three bond distance. So this is called J3. Now the next is, if you talk about the cyclic system, in general protons are present in this cycle at the 1 2 position, in adjacent position. Then if these protons are at this position in same side, then the value is 16, 6 to 12. But if these are a transposition, then its value is 4 to 8 hertz. Okay. And for the geminal protons, if these are protons present at the vicinal position in this compound, so actually this carbon is sp3 hybridized. Okay. And for this sp3 hybridized protons, if you talk about the the planetary, then this is not planar compound, so the coupling constant value is not too much high. This is around 4 to 8. And for these trans protons, but actually there is sp3 hybridized carbon, so no not planarity in the compound, so the coupling constant value is very low, 0 to 3. And since 4 bond distance is there, so this is called J4, means these are long range coupling. This is also long range coupling and value is 0 to 3. So for 4 bond distance and greater than 4 bond distance, protons are actually do not couple very well. Very poor coupling is there because there is no transformation of the field due to the non-planarity in the compound. Now the coupling that occur at distance greater than 3 bonds are called long range coupling, and they are usually small, less than 3 value, and frequently non-existent. Actually, frequently they do not exist. Now, the question answer session is there. Multiple choice question here based on this lecture. And the first question is, the splitting of signal into several peaks is due to why a signal is split into various peaks. Several peaks. So either by the effect of magnetic field of protons on neighboring carbon atoms, or by effect of resonance, effect of melting point, effect of boiling points. Sorry, some options are there by mistakenly. Sorry, there is the option is effect of boiling point. So the splitting of signal into several peaks is due to actually effect of magnetic field of proton on neighboring carbon atoms. Because neighboring carbon atoms spinning create a magnetic field which affect the magnetic field of the nucleus for which this signal is appeared. Now the question number 2, how many 1H NMR signal observed for 112 trichloroethane? So actually 112 trichloroethane have two type of the protons, and the number of signal appeared for a compound, this depends on the types of the protons. So how many types of the protons are present in the compound is equals to the number of signals, proton NMR signals, right? So since in the trichloro 112 trichloroethane there are two types of the protons, so the signals appeared are two. Now the question number 3 is how many proton NMR signals are observed for 2-propanone? 2-propanone is also common named as acetone CH3COCH3. And in the acetone COCH3, both the CH3 groups are attached with the same carbon of the carbonyl group. Means their chemical environment is same. That's the reason why for all the 6 protons of two CH3 groups are having only one signal. Okay, so only one H NMR signal observed for 2-propanone. Okay. Now the next question is correct statement for splitting of signal in two butanones. So what is actually the correct statement about the what is actually the correct statement about the splitting of the signal? I mean for which type of proton what splitting will be there? For example, in the butanone CH3 CO CH2 CH3 there are two types of the protons, three types of the proton. One is CH3, second is CH2, and third is CH3. Three types of the protons are there. So how many signal will be observed for this compound? Three signal. This is very basic thing. But what will be the splitting pattern of these signals? A, B, C types protons signals I'm talking about. So the option first is signal for A, B, C are splitted as triplet, quartet, and singlet respectively. Means for a type of proton, the signal is split into triplet, and the B type proton signal is split into quartet, and for C singlet. So is this correct? I think it is not correct because a type of protons are a type of the protons are not neighbor of that of the hydrogen containing center. Means at the adjacent position there is no hydrogens. So this do not couple with this CO group. If this does not couple with this CO group, then its signal appeared as singlet. So this is not correct option. And CH2 protons have the three neighboring protons. So the B type of the protons signal is split into the quartet, quartet, and for C type of the protons, this signal is split into the triplet due to the interaction with the two protons. So this pattern is not correct. Option B is signal for A, B, and C are split as triplet, singlet, and quartet. This is also not correct. So option the signal for A, B, C are split in singlet, quartet, and triplet. So this is correct. For A, B, and C type of proton, the signal is split into singlet, quartet, and triplet according to the number of protons present at a neighboring position. Now the question number 5, the splitting in the NMR signal into different peaks is due to when a signal is split into the various peaks. In the various peaks, when So this occur when, in the case of where the neighboring protons spin couple. So due to the spin-spin coupling of the neighboring protons, a signal is split into the various peaks. And the question number 6, the most commonly encountered type of coupling is between hydrogens on adjacent carbon atom is known as either it is geminal coupling, vicinal coupling, long range coupling, and none of these. If you talk about the geminal coupling, there is coupling between two protons which are present at the same center. And the vicinal coupling is the coupling between two protons which are at the adjacent center. And it is asking about the adjacent center coupling. So the coupling between hydrogens on adjacent carbon atoms is called the vicinal coupling. Okay. And now the question number 7. The dot 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 is the distance j measured in hertz between the peaks in a simple multiplet. So in a simple multiplet, the peak distance between two adjacent peaks is called actually the coupling constant, chemical shift, splitting of signal, or none of these. So actually it is called coupling constant. The distance between two peaks in a multiplet is called the coupling constant, while the coupling chemical shift, chemical shifting is actually the shifting of the signal into the either a field or the downfield direction due to the the interaction with the different chemical environment. So now the next question, ninth question number is multiplicity and relative intensities of the peak obtained for CS3 COO CO CS2 CS3. So for this compound, what will be the multiplicity or relative intensity of the peaks? So the multiplicity of these peaks is actually, for if we talk about the CS3 proton which is connected with the COO group, right? Yes, left hand side CS3 group, only signal is appeared as singlet form because it does not have the neighboring protons. Do not interact with the neighboring protons because there is no neighboring protons. So there is no coupling, spin-spin coupling. And if there is no spin-spin coupling, then there is no splitting of a signal. So for CS3 proton, there is one singlet, and for CS2 protons, there is quartet, right? And for CS3 protons, there is triplet. So one singlet, one quartet, and one triplet will be observed here. So actually, the option would be correct. But something mistake here. Actually, the quartet is just before that the triplet. Okay. Okay, but one quartet. Yeah, this is correct option actually. For these three type of proton, we obtain one singlet for left hand side CS3. We obtain one triplet for CS3 protons, which are in the right hand side, and one quartet is obtained for CS2 protons. So correct option will be D option. Okay. And the last question is coupling constant are constant that dot 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 at different field strength. So the coupling constant are the constant which do not depend on the field strength actually. Means do not change. Coupling constant are constant that do not change at different field strength because it is independent on the field strength. A option would be correct option because there is no increase and no decrease of the coupling constant by changing the field strength. Okay, so this is the question answer session. Now these are the reference books. First is Y.R. Sharma, Elementary Organic Spectroscopy, and this is from S. Chand publication, and this is PW link of this book. So you just copy this link and paste on the Google, you will get the PDF of this book very easily. And the second book is Robert Silverstein, Spectroscopic Identification of Organic Compounds from Wiley publication, and the PDF link for this is given here. This is PDF link. Okay. Thank you. So still anyone have anybody have any doubt, any confusion, then they can call me, they can ask to me freely. I mean feel free to call to ask to me, okay? To clarify. I would be happy to answer you. So I hope you got the things whatever discussed in this lecture about the coupling constant and the factor influencing the coupling constant value, types of the coupling constant, and the splitting pattern, spin splitting pattern, intensity of the peaks in the multiplet, distance of the peak in the multiplet. Okay, so I'm again requesting to ask question from your side. I'd be very happy to give answer. Okay, so thank you. Have a nice day. Goodbye.